Hi everyone, welcome back to Frugal Watch Box Channel. Today, we're checking out the Skmei 2031, an analog digital watch that looks like a G-Shock's distant cousin, but at a fraction of the price. I picked this one up last week for around $8, which is a whole dollar more than my usual Skmei purchases. Yep, I really went all out this time. First impressions. Right out of the box, the first thing I noticed was its size. This thing is huge. 52.5 millimeters, including the crown. If you have small wrists, it might feel like wearing a wall clock strapped to your arm. But if you love big, bold watches, this one definitely makes a statement. I went for the green band version, and I have to say, it looks pretty cool. It gives off a rugged, almost military vibe. Plus, it's got 50 meters of water resistance, which means I won't have to panic if I get caught in the rain or forget to take it off before doing the dishes. And let's be real, it kind of looks like a G-Shock, but at this price, it's more like a budget-friendly stunt double. You get the tough, sporty look without breaking the bank. Why did I buy it? I wanted to see how well this watch holds up over time. So, I'll be wearing it indoors and outdoors, taking it through everyday use, maybe even a few accidental bumps and scrapes. And then I'll come back with a full review in a few months. Stay tuned. Alright, let's take this watch out of the packaging. It comes in simple plastic wrapping with minimal bubble protection. Not exactly premium, but hey, it survived the journey just fine. And there it is, boom. A huge watch. Right out of the wrapper, it looks pretty good. The design is bold, sporty, and definitely stands out. Now, let's get rid of the Skmei watch tag. Don't need that getting in the way. Alright, before we dive into the real fun, let's take a moment to appreciate the documentation. Because what's a new watch without a tiny piece of paper we'll probably lose in a week? So what do we get? One page. That's it. Front and back. English on one side, Chinese on the other. No booklets, no thick manuals, just a single sheet of wisdom. The content? Straight to the point. We've got a summary of features, basically what we already know, instructions on how to set the time, alarm, and chronograph. How to use the basic functions without pressing the wrong button and accidentally setting an alarm for 3 a.m. It's all simple and easy to follow, which is a relief. No overcomplicated steps, no tiny fonts that require a magnifying glass. Just clear and functional information. If only all manuals were this simple. Alright, now that we've paid our respects to the user manual, let's move on to the real watch experience. Size and dimensions. Now let's talk about the numbers, because this thing is not small. Case size, 52.5 millimeters, including the crown. Yep. It takes up some serious wrist real estate. Lug-to-lug width, 50.5 millimeters, so even though it's big, it might still work for medium wrists. Thickness, about 17.5 millimeters, so it's got some height to it too. Definitely not a slim dress watch. Now, here's something interesting. This watch has a screw-in type band, which means there's no standard lug width. If you ever need a replacement strap, you'll have to buy one specifically from Skmei. So, no quick strap swaps here. Despite its size, the watch remains surprisingly lightweight, weighing in at just 76.5 grams. This is largely due to its use of lightweight materials, a flexible and comfortable polyurethane or PU band, an ABS plastic case that keeps the overall weight low, and a zinc alloy bezel that adds durability without compromising on heft. Overall, it feels solid, but not too heavy, so it shouldn't weigh your wrist down too much. One cool feature I want to mention is that this watch has a dual time display. It shows the time in both analog and digital formats at the same time, which is pretty handy if you like the traditional analog look, but still want the convenience of a digital readout for things like the date, seconds, or even an alarm. Next, let's check out the features and display. Now let's dive into the build of the watch. The case and bezel are made of ABS plastic and zinc alloy, which is a great mix for durability without adding too much weight. It has 4 metal buttons and a large crown that's textured for grip, though it doesn't have any push functions, just there for looks and to adjust the time. The bezel itself is in dark gray zinc alloy, which adds a nice contrast to the black case. On top of the bezel, you'll notice 4 screws. Definitely adds a bit of a rugged, industrial vibe. The bezel is slightly raised to provide some protection for the resin crystal, a nice touch for durability. Of course, a mineral crystal would have been better, but let's be real, for $8, we're lucky it even has a crystal at all. So what do these buttons do? The 2 buttons on the right control start and reset, so you can time things or reset the stopwatch easily. The 2 buttons on the left control light and mode, so you can toggle between different features like time or alarm settings. On top of the bezel, there's a sport watch imprint, and right below it, you've got the water-resist imprint. Now let's talk about the dial. It's black and divided into 4 components for the digital display. At the top of the dial, you've got white hour bar markers, with the larger bars at the 12, 3, 6, and 9 o'clock positions. Between the hour markers, there are 3 thin white lines that help break up the space. On the left side, there's a small round display with high and low imprints, almost like blades circling in motion, synchronized with the second count. On the right, there's a display for the day, month, and date, a handy feature to keep track of time. All of the displays are negative, with white text against a dark background. It can be a bit tricky to see the negative display unless you're in a well-lit environment. In the middle of the dial, you've got the classic hour, minute, a second hands. These seem to be plastic, but they do the job. The hands are green with a hollow base, and they look loomed at the tips, giving them that sword-like appearance. The second hand is also green, but it's needle-like and has no loom. Over on the 3 o'clock position, you've got the prominent old Skmei logo, a nice little touch to remind you what you're wearing. Below that, there's a small circular display, kind of like a watermelon, that pops up every 9 seconds. It's a little quirky feature that adds some personality to the watch. Finally, at the bottom of the dial, there's a display for the second, hour, and minutes, with small indicators for alarm and hourly time signal. Pretty handy if you want a quick glance at your settings without having to dig through menus. Now let's talk about the green PU band. This thing is thick and stiff. It feels like it's ready to take on a bunch of outdoor adventures. It's definitely got that sturdy, long-lasting vibe, but hey, only time will tell if it's actually as tough as it looks. The texture in the middle gives it a nice grip, so it's not sliding around your wrist like it's on ice. The retainer, that little piece that holds the extra strap in place, is also hard and tough, so no worries about it snapping off after a few weeks of use. It feels like this watch is ready for a marathon, not a sprint, but again, we'll have to test it over time to see how it holds up. As for the buckle, Skmei claims it's stainless steel. It's got that metallic shine, so we'll just have to take their word for it. No imprints on the underside, though, so don't expect any fancy branding or hidden messages under the buckle or strap. It's all business down there. Case back. Now let's flip this bad boy over and check out the case back. Unlike some other watches that flaunt their stainless steel pride, this one has no stainless steel imprint, so it might not actually be stainless steel. But hey, it's got Skmei's logo proudly stamped in the middle, so at least they're showing some identity. Right above the logo, you'll see the model number 2031, just in case you forget what you're wearing. Below the logo, you'll find 5 ATM, which means this watch has a 50 meters water resistance. So it can handle a little splash, a quick swim, or a rainy day, but don't go diving with it unless you're trying to test its limits. Around the outer ring, you'll spot imprints that say water-resistant 5 ATM. Also, there's the battery code printed on the back, either CR 2025 or SR 626 SW, which is pretty standard. These are good for about 2 to 3 years, so you won't have to worry about swapping out for a while. Just don't forget when that time comes. Now, here's something that really surprised me. The viewing angles on this watch are actually pretty darn good, especially for the price. I mean, at this price point, you kind of expect to have to tilt and squint just to see anything, right? But nope. Moving the dial left and right, the negative digital display remains nice and clear without turning into a fuzzy, unreadable mess. Even when I tilt it at a weird angle, I can still make out the time and the date easily. That's actually a pretty impressive feat for a watch that cost me just around $8. It's one of those little things that you don't expect from a budget watch, but it definitely makes a difference. You won't be holding it up to the light, trying to figure out if it's 3 o'clock or 9 o'clock. Nope, this one delivers, even at weird angles. It's a win for the budget-conscious buyer who doesn't want to feel like they're wearing a watch made for ants. Alright, now let's talk about the electroluminescence backlight, because, let's face it, what's a cool watch without some glowing features? The greenish-bluish light that lights up this watch is surprisingly clear and bright, lighting up all the digital panels with ease. You don't have to strain your eyes to read the time or the date when it's dark. It's like night mode for your wrist. And who doesn't love that? But wait, it gets even better. The hour and minute hands are also loomed, so you can still tell the time analog style, even in the dark. When you combine the glowing hands and the digital backlight, it creates a spectacular visual effect. It's like having a watch that's ready to shine when the lights go down. Seriously, I haven't seen a budget watch with such a solid glow-up, pun intended. Everything's clearly visible, and it looks pretty awesome while doing it. It's like they took the idea of nighttime readability and just knocked it out of the park. Who says you can't have glowing coolness and budget-friendly pricing? Now let's talk about the alarm, because who doesn't need a loud wake-up call, right? Well, I gotta say, I was seriously surprised by how loud this alarm is, especially at this price point. I mean, we're talking about a watch that cost me around $8, so I was expecting a soft little beep-beep that might barely get your attention. But nope, this alarm is actually quite loud. In fact, I think it might even be louder than some low-end Casio models, like the classic F91W. That's saying something, right? You'll hear it in the video here, but just imagine this alarm blaring in the middle of your sleep, and you'll know exactly what I mean. It's definitely not a snooze-friendly alarm. So if you're someone who likes to hit the snooze button and go back to sleep, you might want to get ready to jump out of bed. It's honestly pretty impressive. The F91W might have a lot of fans, but this Skmei's alarm is ready to wake you up and remind you that you're alive and kicking. At this price, I wasn't expecting it to be such an attention grabber, but it really is. So if you're looking for a budget-friendly watch with a seriously loud alarm, this one's got your back. Alright, now let's see how it looks on a wrist. The 52.5mm case is huge, like really huge, especially when you got a slender 6.5-inch wrist like mine. I mean, it almost feels like I'm wearing a clock tower on my arm. But you know what? I don't even care because I like the watch. It's big, it's bold, and it makes a statement. If you've ever wanted your wrist to say, hey, look at me, I'm rocking a giant piece of tech, then this is the watch for you. Now, I wouldn't recommend it for those with smaller wrists unless you're the kind of person who loves big watches and wants to make your wrist feel like it's on a mission to conquer the world. For medium to large wrists, though, this watch is perfect. It'll fit nicely and give you that big, bold look without looking like it's about to take over your entire forearm. But hey, if you're someone who loves the oversized watch trend, this could still be your thing. Small wrists or not, this watch makes a bold impression, and it's definitely not for the faint of heart. So, if you're looking to add a little extra bulk and some extra flair to your wrist, this is your watch. So, let's wrap it all up with a quick rundown of the features, because, let's face it, we all love a good list of what we're getting. Here's what you're looking at with the Skmei 2031. 1. Big, bold design. We've got a 52.5 millimeters case, so this is definitely a large watch for those who like to make a statement on their wrist. Not for the faint of heart or those with tiny wrists, unless you're into the whole oversized watch trend, in which case, go for it. 2. Dual display. We're talking about analog and digital time on one dial. It's like the watch is saying, why choose when you can have both? Plus, the digital display is clear even at weird angles, so you won't be squinting to tell the time. 3. Loud alarm. It's got an alarm that could wake the dead, or at least wake you up in the morning. It's surprisingly loud, especially for a budget watch, so you'll never miss it, no matter how deep your sleep is. 4. Electroluminescence backlight. The green-blue glow lights up the digital panels like a neon sign, and the loomed hour and minute hands make sure you can still tell time in the dark. It's like a glow-in-the-dark party on your wrist. 5. Water resistance. 5 ATM water resistance, meaning it can handle a bit of splash, some rain, and maybe even a swim. Just don't take it scuba diving unless you want to test its limits. 6. Solid build. Made of ABS and zinc alloy, with a sturdy green PU band that feels tough and ready for action. It's like the watch is saying, bring on the adventures. 7. Affordable. At around $8, this watch is pretty much a steal. It looks like a G-Shock, but without the G-Shock price tag. So, if you're looking for a watch that combines style, function, and a bit of boldness, this Skmei 2031 could be your next favorite budget-friendly companion. Big, loud, and full of surprises, just the way we like it. Who is this watch for? 1. The bold watch enthusiast. If you're the type of person who loves big, bold watches, then this Skmei 2031 is practically made for you. With its giant 52.5 millimeters case, it's the perfect way to say, yeah, I'm wearing a watch that can probably double as a small satellite dish. If you've got medium to large wrists, or don't mind feeling like a wrist superhero, this watch is your go-to. 2. The budget-conscious shopper. Let's face it, we're all looking for a good deal, and for around $8, this watch gives you G-Shock vibes without the price tag. If you want the look and feel of a tough, rugged watch but don't want to sell a kidney for it, this Skmei 2031 is a no-brainer. Plus, who doesn't love a great bargain? 3. The night owl. If you often find yourself in the dark, whether it's late-night work, gaming, or just an unholy obsession with glowing things, this watch has your back. With its electroluminescent backlight and loomed hands, it's basically a nighttime beacon on your wrist. You'll never be stuck in the dark trying to tell time again. 4. The alarm lover. Do you need a watch that wakes you up and won't take no for an answer? If you like alarms that pack a punch, loud enough to disturb your neighbors, this Skmei 2031 has an alarm that could probably wake the entire block. It's perfect for those who need that extra oomph to get out of bed. 5. The practical adventurer. If you're someone who enjoys a bit of splashing around in the pool, or just living your life without worrying about getting caught in the rain, this watch's 5 ATM water resistance makes it a solid choice. Just don't take it into the deep end, unless you're aiming for a science experiment. Alright guys, that's a wrap on the Skmei 2031 review. Big, loud, and affordable. What more could you want, right? If you're into oversized watches that are tough, stylish, and won't break the bank, this might just be the one for you. Plus, it glows in the dark, so it's basically a watch with a superpower. Now, if you like this review, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, because it really helps the channel. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on more fun, budget-friendly watch reviews like this one. Also, if you want to support the channel, check out the merch in the description below. Every purchase helps me keep bringing you more awesome content and makes me feel like a professional YouTuber. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one. Bye for now.